Good day. I'm Dr. Paul, and this is my beautiful wife, Lynn. And today we're going to talk about the plasma energy station, how we set it up, what's in it, and give you some information, some feedback that we have gotten from people who have used this plasma energy station for a year or two. So I'll let Lynn start with the introduction.
Okay, well, what we did with the plasma energy station, it was the very first thing that we really put together. And Paul had been making GANs for quite some time, and we reached a point where we're going, what are we going to do with all of it? So before I launch into that, would you show him what I mean by GANs with the jar that you have?
This is the GANs, which is gas in atomic nanosolid state. It's an acronym for what you see in this jar. This is water on top, and this is the part that we use is the water on top. And this powder in the bottom is like the battery that charges the water. It's a very fine powdery substance. You can see there how fine it is. And once that settles out, we just use the water that's on top, and it maintains its power for indefinitely. It's going to last a lot longer than you or I will. That's what the GANs is, and all of these vials alongside of this container are just the water from the top of many different GANs.
So what Paul had done is we have on this container, if you want to swing it out, Paul, and just show it. This is one of the original containers that we used, and used more of a tub type of thing. And as you can see, there's glass vials that have been placed down both sides of the container, and they have different GANs in them that Paul had made, and we just decided to put all those energies together and see what happened with it. So that's what we started calling our never-ending plasma energy station. What we did with this was to drink the water from it, and our idea was that we would have certain things on hand if there was ever a disaster or a reason we weren't getting deliveries of food, medicine, and other things we're accustomed to getting just that day or within a day or two. So this was the beginning attempt of what would we do if we had to rely on this. So Paul and I decided to do an experiment and to see if we could just use this only as a replacement for everything we were used to using. And there are vitamins, there's minerals, there's metals, there's precious metals, gold and silver, there's herbs, there's roots, there's actually food. We took the meals, a tiny portion of meals that we had for 21 days and froze them. And then when he was ready to do this, he put all that food in a blender and broke it down, and then put it in water. In the process, he uses with a caustic to break everything down, and that breakdown takes a while to do. So this was the culmination of quite a few months' work. Wouldn't you say it was probably at least 4 or 5 months?
Yes, at least.
So we decided, okay, we're going to see how this works. We decided to try to go 10 days and do the plasma energy station water only. And we're using the water, just as an aside, with everything we do, whether it's coffee, tea, drinking water, water for soup, water for other cooking, boiling your pasta in it, whatever we're cooking. If Paul's going to make some beans in the pressure cooker, we're going to use the station water. So we're adding that to everything we do. So the long story made short is we got into 3 days and we were doing okay with it. We would sit down and treat it like a regular meal and put our water in a glass and bless it and drink it. And neither of us had a shortage of energy. There were no headaches. We weren't cranky. There was no dizziness. But I'll tell you what we missed. And that's the social aspect and the social conditioning we all have around food. And it was smelling food, chewing food, the preparation of food. So that was a little weird for us. About 3 days into the experiment, we were invited to a family dinner at our son's house. So we went off our plan and had a regular meal. And in the process, we said, wow, it's kind of nice to have a dish meal. And of course, our son said, what are you guys doing? So he was here the next day to find out exactly what we were doing and find out a little more of what's the stuff Dad is doing in the spare room back there. So we continued on for the 10 days and we ended up with 3 dish meals. And that was pretty good. We were satisfied that if we needed to supplement with the water, it would work just fine. Do you want to add anything to that, Paul?
No, not really. While we were doing that, I remember that I didn't have any hunger pangs at all. And I fasted before, and it's difficult after a few days because you really get the hunger pangs, and sometimes you get headaches and blurred vision and low blood sugar and all these things. But I didn't have any of those symptoms at all because we were drinking plenty of water from the plasma energy station. And I just remember that it was, it felt good. It didn't feel like I was deprived of anything at all.
So that's how we initially started using the station. And yes, we do eat meals at this point in time since everything's available to us, but we always incorporate the plasma energy water in everything we're cooking and with what we're drinking. And in addition to making a plasma energy station, as you've seen with the tub and the vials placed around it, you can also do it. I'm going to move this over so you can see it a little better. This is a large glass iced tea dispenser. And what I have on here is a single large vial of the water out of this station, which is changed the water without having to have all the separate vials on it. And I would say that it's very convenient to have something with a spigot because you're going to use it more often than if you have something you decide to place in an out of the way area of the kitchen or utility room, and you may not go to it as often as if you have something sitting right on your kitchen counter. So what I recommend, and for setting up your plasma energy station, you can use good quality spring water, you can use good quality well water, you can use filtered water, you can use distilled water, you can use structured water, and you're going to want to use a clear glass or clear plastic container. And you'll see, even though this has an opaque lid, it's clear into it's translucent into the container part. And you don't want to use a solid plastic color container or crockery or stainless steel. The plasma energy is not going to work with that. Now when we send the vials out you'll receive a package that has the 16 vials all packaged up that are this size in the warmer seasons of the year. We live in a very cold climate, so when we get to winter time, everything's going to freeze and break once we get down below 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we do in the winter is we combine the 16 vials into BPA-free plastic vials. So you would have 1 through 4 in a vial, you would have 5, 6, 7, and 8 in another vial, and so on until we've done all 16 vials in the 4 vials. They're going to work exactly the same. Now, when we are working with people outside of the country, what we do is we send a pair of patches that have all the water that we've used here and here that have been included in these patches. The material is then put inside a plastic bag and then covered with clear plastic packing tape. Once you get it, what you would do is just simply put it on the sides of your container. You can tape it, you can rubber band it, you can tie it, however you want to do it, whatever's convenient for you. And what happens, people often question, well, is this going to work as well? A lot of people get pretty fixated on the idea that the glass vials are the only thing that'll work. But what I did early on is I decided to check the energy fields with some dowsing rods that Paul had made. And you're basically using these, they're sitting in PVC, so you're not touching and influencing the direction of the rods. As I walked back from the 16 vials, I ended up over 30 feet. And then I took and moved that out and decided to measure, well, let's see what happens with this. As I walked back, it measured over 30 feet. I was kind of surprised. I thought there would be a difference. So then I took it a step further, and I had a pair of patches that were Post-it note size. And when I put them up and measured the distance, it was still over 30 feet. So size does not matter. Now, we had somebody overseas who did not receive the letter that the patches came in, and they contacted me and said, well, we don't know quite what to do. And I said, well, gosh, I know what to do. And so what I did is I took a sheet of printer paper. Well, I took several sheets because they'd ordered several things. And I simply sprayed it, saturated it, let it dry, and then I sent them the sheets in a letter. And I said, there'll be some writing on there, and just disregard it. Once you get the sheets, you're going to take them and you're going to fold them, and then you're going to fold them again. So you end up with what I've shown you, however they wanted to do it, because there were 2 families that were using the sheets. And I said, size is not going to matter. I didn't hear from them right away, and then about 4 months later, they sent me an order for something else, and they said, we love the water. One of them is a healer and a therapist, and just said he just loves the water, and would I please send their order on printer paper. So as you can see, it doesn't matter if it's paper, if it's in the patches, or if it's in the glass vial set, or if it's in the plastic vial set. So those are the ways that we have of setting it up. And I'm going to talk real quickly about why I'm sitting here with these magnets, because this is July 2019 that we're doing this video, and right now we have a special where those who ordered the plasma energy station at our website, plasmaenergysolution.com, will receive, this is around $150 in free magnet and new tech frequency relief vial, 2 magnets for your phone, TVs, computers, microwaves, anything that's emitting radiation and EMFs. And then there's also a magnet here a pendant that you can wear. These all have shungite in them, silver GANs, and magnets. So that's the reason I have those in here while I'm talking about the plasma energy.
One of the things we should add here is that we take these packaged vials before they're shipped out, and we put them in a Russian pyramid overnight so that the torsion fields are enhanced by the torsion fields of the Russian pyramid. There's been a lot of research done on this in Russia, Japan, and even here in the United States. There's a man who makes these pyramids and who gives away the dimensions on them for free on his website. And his name is Charlie Zeiss, and his website is onlypvcpyramids.com. You can go there and see the pyramids and see the dimensions, and if it's something you want to make, you can do it, or you can buy one from him. So I just wanted to mention that the torsion fields of these vials are enhanced by the sitting overnight in the pyramid.
Okay, and I just want to share with you some of the testimonials we get. And when you go to our website, we have frequently asked questions, we have testimonials, there's videos we've done, there's interviews we've done, there's a complete product list if you click on the shop heading on the website. There are many blogs that I've written, so you'll find a wealth of information on the website, which is plasmaenergysolution.com. So I just want to share some of the things that I've gotten from people. Here's one. This is, I love the plasma energy water. In the short time I've been drinking it, it has changed my life. I feel so much better and I have so much more energy. I'm a social worker who works with homeless people who have a chronic mental health diagnosis. My program provides apartments for people and I help rebuild their lives. I have given some of my people a gallon or 2 of the water and they all love it. In fact, one of my clients went to another client's apartment and asked if he had any of the water left over because she couldn't wait for me to bring the next gallon. My clients are fighting over the water. It's got to be good if they're doing that. And I wrote and said, thank you, and then what I suggested is get the people who have the water to start making patches for you so you can share those with other people. And then everybody can have some of the water. So I think she took that idea and embraced it. And then she did write me about a month or so later and just say, she said, I want you to know I just got off the phone with one of my clients. She's on disability for physical and mental health issues. I gave her 2 gallons of the plasma energy water last week. Before she started drinking the water, she was in such severe pain she wanted to give up on life. This morning, she called me and sounded a lot happier than I have ever heard her. She was telling me all the things that she had done this morning. She told me that the water had given her more energy and that for the first time in years, She didn't take any pain medication yesterday. She was also excited to hear she could use the containers that I gave her to make a continual supply. It made my day, and I hope it makes yours too. And yes.
A little lower.
Oh, okay. Then this was from another individual, and she had her friend get the water before she had breast cancer surgery and just start drinking it. She was going to continue on, but she went ahead and did what we suggest as far as the clothes that she would be wearing, putting them some of the plasma energy water in the rinse cycle and letting it sit there for a couple hours and then spinning it out. Once you've put it in the clothing, it's going to stay there. It's not going to wear out. It's not going to expire. Your clothes are probably going to wear out before the plasma energy does. But what she says is she's been drinking the water post-surgical from the energy station that she got. The doctor was speechless when she went back for her first checkup, saying she was 2 weeks ahead of schedule in terms of being compared to other patients. Then she wrote to me again in 2 weeks and said, my friend went to her surgeon for the 6-week checkup. As his PA said 2 weeks ago, he is thrilled and in disbelief at the progress of her healing. She's spritzing her body all over with the water, and now she also sprays her dog. And this same individual took this water to her chiropractor, and he had several types of water that he sells, energy types of waters, and she asked him if he would just check the energy in a way that he checks for energy on this water. Well, he tested his commercial waters and her bottle of water that she brought, and whatever system he was using, he said, well, my commercial waters are at 0 and yours is at 12. And then she asked him if he would just check energy fields, and he came up with 36 feet. Well, that was really neat because that was a couple years later after I had checked the energy fields, and he didn't know anything about plasma energy. He knows nothing about us. So it was nice to have that confirmation from somebody completely unrelated to it. We've got another one. This is I got flowers for my birthday, and they were a type of lily. I didn't make it home for 4 hours. They were looking a little droopy by the time I put them in the plasma water. They perked up within a couple of hours, and now a week later they look as fresh as if they were picked today. Amazing. If this can do it for a cut flower, what can it do for our bodies? So that was kind of fun to hear from her. And another question is, I don't know if the plasma energy has anything to do with this or not, but a week ago we put 4 patches out on our property. The next day there were 60 to 70 mile an hour winds all up and down the Front Range where we live. We only got a breeze that day. There was snow in the area, and we didn't get any of the snow. And this was at a time of year you wouldn't be expecting the snow yet. So that was interesting, and that reminds me of what I've told people to do that I've done where we live. And I said, just take some little containers or make some patches. You can make little small patches this size or even smaller, and just put them around your property. With the little containers I used, they were about the size of a Carmex bottle. I put some plasma water in it. This is real sophisticated. I took a big spoon out of the kitchen. I dug a little hole about 2 inches deep, put the container in it, covered it back over with dirt and rocks, and I did that about every 15 feet around the property, and it just will create a plasma dome effect. And if you'd like to know more about that, go to our website and look for the November 2017 blog I wrote after Dominica was struck by Hurricane Maria. a man who had made plasma energy water for his parents' garden got there about 3 weeks after the hurricane. 90% of Dominica was destroyed. And when he got to his parents, everything was completely intact. The leaves were on the bushes, the flowers were still flowering, and there was no damage to the house. This was all within a 30-foot radius of a jar of plasma water he had placed in their garden. Once you got outside of that 30-foot circle, they lost some sheds, and all the plants and vegetation were destroyed. There were no leaves on the trees. It just looked like a real wasteland. So that's a real interesting article to read if you would like to do that. Do you have something you would like to add to this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna kind of wrap up here. I've got lots more, but I can share them with you over time. But I want to tell you one that was. Sometimes I get remarks of, "Oh, this is just make-believe stuff," or "It's your imagination." But I heard from somebody who had a guinea pig, and she had received her plasma energy station in the mail. She was in a big rush, and Ella the guinea pig was 10 years old, was full of cancer, had a huge tumor. They were going to have her put to sleep. Well, Ella's owner put the plasma energy package on Ella's cage. And within several days, they noticed Ella was feeling a little better. When she wrote to me, it was a year later. Ella had no cancer, the tumor disappeared, and she's still running around like a young guinea pig, even though she's 10 years old. So when people want to give me a hard time about, well, this is all in your mind and make-believe, I just let Ella talk to them.
Say something about Flint.
Oh, yes, and then I did post recently a friend of ours who decided at the age of, I think he's about 48, and he just said, I have got to lose some weight. So he decided to use the plasma energy water. He's got one of our energy stations, and he also has Clear Mind, Clean Mouth, and Detox. So he took those three and the plasma energy station water, and that was his go-to water all day long. And anytime he felt hungry, he drank water. He ate one meal a day. He did a lot of walking. Fortunately for him, he lives in Florida, and so there's a lot of nice weather in the fall and winter where he can get out and walk a lot. And he started at the end of August, and by March he had lost 70 pounds. And he said the whole time he felt great. He had plenty of energy. Whenever he thought he felt hungry, he had a drink of water. Or, he said he did drink a lot of the water. So that was pretty exciting to hear from him. Is there something you'd like to add to that?
No, that's about it.
Well, just share a little bit of how you've done with your energy levels, and especially with some of the issues that you routinely deal with, such as diabetes.
Well, I've got some health problems. I've got a kidney transplant, and I'm a type 1 diabetic. And since I've been using the plasma energy station and drinking a lot of this water, my kidney function tests have improved, and they're better than they were right after my kidney transplant, which was 15 years ago. So my kidney, which would normally be my transplanted kidney, which would normally be aging and becoming more toxic as time goes by, is actually in better shape than it was right after the transplant. And my diabetic situation is such that I have been able to decrease my dependence on insulin